different crew?
5, 4.
Ashley Wilkins has been indicted today by the Mobile County Grand Jury for the charge of abuse of a corpse. This decision was made and handed down by citizens of Mobile County as to this charge. This grand jury was made up of citizens and was based on a vote of a non-biased group of members of our community who were randomly selected to serve on this grand jury and that had been convened even before the preliminary hearing was ever held this morning. Her bond will be set at $3,000. We believe that it was important to present this case so that she would be held and remain on a bond through the continued investigation of this case. This office, the District Attorney's Office of Mobile County, will always stand up for victims and especially children and those who cannot protect themselves. Today, in this courthouse, a jury found John Henderson guilty of beating to death his 23-month-old child in 2014, handled by Assistant District Attorney Keith Blackwood. Also today, in this courthouse, Matthew Shane Sullivan was sentenced to 2 life sentences to run consecutive for rape and sex abuse of a 7-year-old child, with Assistant District Attorney Nikki Patterson handling that. So again, today, we are very pleased with the Mobile County Grand Jury's findings and returning of an indictment against Ashley Wilkins for the abuse of a corpse for her 5-day-old baby girl. Any questions?
Can you kind of explain how, if the judge said that there wasn't enough, evidence to pursue this case, why carry it forward?
We believe that this was a decision that needed to be made by the citizens of Mobile County, and this indictment and the decision was made by the citizens of Mobile County.
And you said they made that decision prior to
the grand jury was convened prior to today. The decision and the indictment was handled today.
So why bother going through the hearing this morning if the grand jury had already made a decision?
I didn't say that they had already made a decision. I'm saying that the grand jury has made a decision as of now.
Okay.
How does something like that work? I mean, is that typical where you guys will present a case to a grand jury before a preliminary hearing?
That has certainly happened before, but we can present cases to the grand jury before the preliminary hearing or even after.
Did you guys have some reason to believe that the judge would not want himself sent it to a grand jury?
We did not have any reason to believe that today, no.
Jennifer, Katie Horse with Fox 10 News. How are these two conflicting decisions by the judge and by the grand jury going to play out then here in the courthouse?
I think that this decision was made by the citizens of Mobile County, and we think it's important that not only that this charge was handed down by the Mobile County grand jury, but that this case be heard and decided by Mobile County jurors as to the guilt or the not guilty verdict of Ashley Wilkins. It should be decided by a jury, and that's what we stated today in court.
The initial report said that she may have been on drugs at the time. Are you all still looking into that? Or are you waiting?
There's still an autopsy and toxicology pending at this time. This case is still very much under investigation.
What happens from here now that they've indicted her on abuse of the corpse?
She is being booked in as we speak at the Mobile County Metro Jail, and will make bond on that new charge, and then will be assigned then to a circuit court judge.
Could you clarify the timeline a little bit? You said that it was presented to a grand jury prior, but the indictment didn't come until after the preliminary hearing?
It was presented to a grand jury today. I'm not going to get into specifics on the timeline. It was presented to a grand jury today, and the indictment was reported by the grand jury today as well.
So can you talk a little bit then? She's going to be booked into Metro Jail. She can make bond. How are the charges different now?
The charge is the same as the charge it was this morning, but she will be out on bond on the abuse of a corpse charge as the case is still pending and the investigation of this case is still pending. As I stated this morning, we are still waiting on the autopsy results to come back and the toxicology report to come back on the child.
Do you plan to seek out trying this case under a different judge?
The case will be assigned to a circuit court judge.
So essentially, this is a completely new case, new judge. I mean,
It will be assigned to a circuit court judge. It's the same charges that she was indicted with this morning, or charged with this morning.
Can you
It was
speak to
indicted.
you speak of the sentencing guideline of that charge?
I'm not going to get into the sentencing at this point, based on many different things in her history and criminal history. I'm not going to get into that at this point. It is a Class C felony. With a Class C felony, if no priors exist, it would be 1 year and a day to 10 years.
Now, Jennifer, are you upset at all with the judge's decision today about Jennifer Wilkins?
We respect the judge's decision. We disagree, and we agree wholeheartedly with what the grand jury decided.
I'm shifting gears a little bit. You said John Henderson was found guilty.
He was.
What was he sentenced to?
He has not been sentenced today. A jury returned a verdict. He was found guilty of the death of his 23-month-old child. It happened back in 2014. He was found guilty in front of Judge Brooks' courtroom today.
Guilty of murder?
He was. Yes, murder.
And so, today the judge mentioned that he doesn't believe that this really constitutes an abuse of a corpse charge. How do you think this might be different under a different judge?
We believe that the law is very clear that this is an abuse of a corpse under the abuse of a corpse statute, that the defendant, Ashley Wilkins, knowingly treated the corpse in a way that would outrage ordinary family sensibilities. We believe that that is what the law is, that is straight from the statute, and in fact, that's exactly what the grand jury found, that did, her behavior did, knowingly treating the corpse, the 5-day-old baby girl, the way she did, in a way that outraged ordinary family sensibilities.
Do you think that there would be any concern about, I guess just due process here, if a judge hears the evidence and says that there's not enough, but you guys still push the case forward? Kind of sounds like a slippery slope to me a little bit.
This case was presented to a Mobile County grand jury as in any case that is pending district court can be done, and the grand jury chose to indict this case.
And is there any precedent for that? Do you get in terms of?
We've certainly taken cases to the grand jury. We've taken cases without going through district court. We can take cases to the grand jury in a secret indictment without even going through a preliminary hearing process.
So are you hoping at all to get a different judge in this next time around?
We will get a circuit judge, and Judge Basenberg is a district court judge.